Right. Good morning, everyone. Let's start the class for today. Right. This is the first class for our new batch of students for CLP 2024. Now, the class today would not take about 3 hours. It probably take about 1.5 hours or so. It's just for me to lay down some ground rules and also just some basic understanding about the course itself, some of the things I want you to know, and then the official class will start tomorrow when we have civil procedure, and then Wednesday we have professional practice, and Thursday we have general paper, correct? Now, so I'll be explaining something about your exam application, how you assess your recordings, okay, what's the course is about, how it's, what I want you to do, what I will be doing, what I'd expect from you, basic things about how we're going to roll, okay, with this course itself. So let's start, okay, let's start. Right, wait a minute. Right. So I think all of you have known my name. So this is my name, Dennis. So you can just call me Dennis itself. It's fine. Just some basic background about me, just in case you wanted to know a little bit more about me. A lot of you probably known me from social media, also things like that. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. My first degree was actually pharmacy many years ago. Not many years lah, maybe about 10 years ago, 10 plus years ago. Then after that, I was working and somehow my job relates me to law. And then I did a second degree in law, I think about 10 years ago. At that time, when I did a second degree in law as a part-time student, there was no online classes. I have to go physical classes all the time. And I did that for 3 years. Then after that, I left it. And I didn't do my CLP straight away after that. The reason because I don't think I'll be a good lawyer. I'm the kind of person that I don't think I can work a lot of things with documentations. So now if you ask me what's the reason why I do a law degree, honestly, I don't know at that point in time. It's just an interest. It's just that it is not for a change in career, you know. It's just that I wanted to change how I look at things perspectively differently. Then during the COVID time, I think it's 2019, 2020. So one of my friends actually called me and said, "Hey, Dennis, you want to do CLP together or not?" And I was like, okay, since it's COVID, we have nothing much to do anyway. Then, okay, all right. And she persuaded me to do a CLP course. But I did it on my own, took some notes from her here and there, and I completed the course and passed in just one attempt during the COVID time. So there's always something that I like to do. It's something I'm really, really passionate about. It's teaching. Since I was really a young students, like in high school, I always loved teaching, and a lot of my friends would come to me and ask me to teach them certain things. So when I was doing my CLP course, I would tell my friend, I was like, okay, I'm going to teach this because I disagree with how this subject was taught in a lot of different areas. And, that sort of perception that you get with this course, a lot of things, I think it's not good. It builds the impression that it is hard, it's difficult, you're going to fail, things like that. So I wanted to show you another way of how we can do it. And today this class today will take probably about up until 10:30 to 11, then we'll finish. So it's to lay down some sort of things, my advice for you, how we're going to do this course, how you should do with your study approach. What is the plan? How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? What is our strategy from now up until July? And individually for all of you, what I'm going to do with you, depending on your circumstances, because I know a lot of you are working full time. Some of you have certain commitments. Some of you have families. So my approach for all of you will be different depending on your circumstances. Okay, so a little bit about me. So if you wanted to know a little bit more about what I do, you can come and talk to me. Now, almost all of you have got books. There are still few students haven't got the books yet because they're registered a little bit late, but rest assured, I will get the book posted to you by this week. Okay? By this week. So everything will be settled. So by end of this week, I hope, or by mid of September, all of you are, ready to, start the course. We got all your books. That's the one thing I wanted to explain later on. Okay, now, next one. How to assess your recordings. All of you will have the email that I sent. Sorry, all of you have got email that's sent by me or WhatsApp by me. So all of you join the class today, and how this is where I'm going to explain to you. Now, first thing first. Let me see. Now, there are about 8 students in the class today. My suggestion to you is this. It is also the suggestion I tell all my students, and it is also what happened with my past batch students. There is no need for you to join live classes. Honestly, if I were you, I wouldn't come and join live classes. Let me explain why. A lot of you are working, so you have your own work commitment. Now, the reason why you join live classes is because when you join classes, when I go through things and you don't understand, you wanted to ask me. I perfectly understand that. But to me, it doesn't really work that way. Because maybe 9:30 in the morning, you have some other matters to attend. Maybe you sleep late and you woke up late. You're not in a good condition to study. And just by me explaining to the class, sometimes the problem doesn't come to you straight away. So maybe when you go back home, you read it once, twice, third time, and then the problem comes and you have questions. What are you going to do? So my suggestion for you is this. There is no need for you all to join live classes. The recordings will be uploaded to you on the same day. Okay, on the same day. So to me, my suggestion is, if you have commitment, family, things like that, you must be disciplined. And let's say, okay, every Saturday morning, that's my personal time. No disturbance, no phone, no kids, no entertainment, nothing. That is where you can really concentrate to study. And then Saturday morning, you watch all your recordings, you make all your notes that you need, and then when you have questions, what are you going to do? Send me a text with your question. Now, my approach is very different from other lecturers. Of course, other lecturers, if you have a question, you ask them in the class. No, because to me, your question doesn't come from the class. Maybe when you go back, you have questions, what are you going to do? Send me a text, regardless of what time is it. When you're at night, morning, doesn't matter. And I will reply you within a day's 24 hours. That's the same I did with all my revision full-time students or past batches. So you may, okay, Dennis, I couldn't understand about this. Can you explain to me again about this, or what does this mean? Send me a text. And most of the time, I will reply to you in a voice clip because it's much faster for me to reply you in a voice clip rather than type it out. Okay, so that is how. So again, my suggestion is there is no need for you to come into live classes. You can, to me, because if you come into live classes with a condition that you're not fully concentrate, it's just a waste of time. Rather than you sitting down here 3 hours when your concentration is only at 30-40%, why not? You find a time, let's say Saturday morning, Friday night, you have 2 hours, you're full concentrated of 100%, and you watch back the recording, and you can fast forward the recording to 1.2, 1.5. Honestly, you can do that. It is much better, much productive. No, our focus is on productivity. What can we do to increase that productivity? So we must be productive. Find a way that suits you best. Okay, the second thing is, how to assess recording. Now, all of you now, we're using Google Meet, okay? And the recordings is uploaded on a YouTube private list. Let me explain to you why I use Google Meet and YouTube instead of Zoom. Now, your first impression will be, It's Zoom, right? Zoom. I used Zoom last year, but I find there's some sort of technical problems quite a lot with Zoom. And now the technical problems are it's still a small matter, but I'm a very particular person on certain things. I want the recordings to be as clear as possible. So in Zoom, the recordings can only, if it's your live class, it can only go up until 720p. I want it to be much clearer. We live in an era of, HD video, 4K. Why can't it be much clearer? That's why I choose Google Meet. So I think in your Google Meet, I think you have a much clearer version. It also depending on what sort of equipment, phone or whether iPad version or laptop that you use, you see a much clearer version for me. Then I put it in a YouTube private list. First thing, because YouTube private list, if you access the recording today or tomorrow, you find that you can set the quality to 1080p and it is a very, very clear video. I want it to be as clear as possible. Because when it's blur, right, it gives, you can't just concentrate. I don't know, maybe it's just me. I like it to be much better. Now, the main reason why I use YouTube private list is this. I find that students, whenever I tell them, okay, you have this Zoom recording to watch this and that, whenever it sort of comes naturally to them, whenever there's also, okay, Zoom meeting, it feel that they got tense up. It's like, okay, I have classes to watch, I have things this to do, this and that. But when you say that you got YouTube to watch, it find that they are much more in a relaxing tone. So I wanted you to be more comfortable. Because let's say, compare this. Let's say if I tell you, okay, watch Zoom recording, you feel that, oh, there are things to study. But when I say you watch a YouTube recording, you feel that you've watched movie, you watch short clips, you listen to songs, you are in much more relaxed. I want you all to have in a much more relaxed, situation. Now, this also brings me to the next thing, which I also explain later on. Why I wanted you all to be in a much more, relaxing. There's a reason why I do all these sort of things. Okay, so your recordings, all the things will be accessible through the Excel sheet, which I will show you now. Let me see. Wait a minute. Right, so you will see this is your file that I share with you in a Google Drive. So everything in that, honestly, you don't have to go into every single file. Your main file to go into is this one, recording master list. Everything is in here. So today, we have an introduction, correct? We don't have any study materials for today. But we will have some study materials and notes that I'll give you tomorrow, which I'll talk a little bit more about that, about your books. And if you see, of course, your YouTube link, that is where you're going to access all your recordings. Okay? So this is the main page you go to. Okay? All in one place. I don't like it to be here and there. I want it everything. So whatever study materials. Now, you find that this is the timetable. Now, of course, one of the students texted me also that I make a little bit mistake, which I'll explain next about regarding next week. Okay. Now, if you see, so here we have a very clear card of your date, your day, your subject, your chapters, your study materials. All you have to do is just to click the link on the study materials, or the extra notes or cases that I want you to read. I'll put it in there. So all you have to do is just download them. Okay, it is just a link to the Google Drive. So you don't have to go here and there, here and there. Then this is a YouTube link. Now, when we go through classes like today, a lot of the times, like tomorrow, you will see in the class, I like to share a lot of not really like web pages that I want you to read. So when you click on the YouTube link, it's just like you watch YouTube, down there, all the links that you get, okay, that I want you to read. Okay, I will put it by chapter as well, what have been gone through in the YouTube. So when we do one class tomorrow, then I will show it again to you how to assess it, what to do with the YouTube links, okay, where can you get all the information. So by end of this week, after we've done 4 class, then you'll be well versed, the approach, how to do that, everything is settled. So you have no problem. So everything is in here. Now, in here also, I put a progress summary that I want you to do, which is like a summary of what we have done this week and what I want you to do this week. Okay? And I'll explain a little bit more later on with your study approach and what I want you to do. If you scroll down up here, up until the end, it finished on the 11th of February. That is where we done and we complete all our lectures and question week. Then after that, if you click down there, that is your tutorial. From 12th of February, tentatively, we will start our past year question. Now, I know there are a few students here that are receipts. So, not really receipt, maybe a few receipts. Some of you have never sat before but studied before. I don't want to leave your past year question up until last minute. And again, I'll explain to you your approach. We start early. And also, there is a reason why we start early. And also the reason why, instead of having 2-3 weeks on one subject, why I do one subject for every day. Okay? So, from here, we will have up until, or the past year question up until 26th of June. Tentatively, your exam will be around July. It either be early July, mid-July, or end July. So for this year in 2023, we just finished 2 months ago. The exam was at 24, something like that, almost end of July. So, we will just assume it will be on July. Okay, we'll assume it on July. Right, let's come back. Right. For your books and notes, okay, most of you have got the books. Now, I send you 8 study manual and 7 statute, correct? Now, the study manual that I use, of course, are from BSc, but I'm not a fan of study manual. You will find that very rare I teach based on your study manual. The study manual, it is just there for us to make reference to certain things so that it make our life easier, so that we don't have to find here and there. So I will tell you in particular, okay, what you need to look at, where to find it. Now, doesn't matter. At the end of this week, you will know what you need to do. You will know what's the plan, what's the style, what's our approach. So I very rare. So if you got your study manual, don't be like shocked looking at the study manual. Oh my God, it's so thick. Looking at the criminal, so many cases. Don't worry. Okay, don't worry. You don't have to know all of them. I'll tell you in particular what do you need to know, what you need to memorize, what you don't need to memorize, what you need to, know in well, which chapter, which cases in particular, which paragraph that you need to read. So everything is very concise and specific. As the class progresses, you'll find that I wouldn't say I have OCD, but I like my things to be tidy. So the same thing, I'll get all the notes very tidy for you. So I would have the notes very simple, concise, precise, easy for you to look at. So that there is just one place you're going to look at instead of here and there, Okay? As we progress, every day, most of the time, the class, we will have extra notes. So same thing, I will put in there in the Excel link. So you just have to go to that place. Just click it, download it, and these are the notes or cases that we refer in the class, and you can just save it in your laptop and then refer it later on. And that's the notes I will use. Okay, that's the notes I want you to use as well. And then I want you to make your own notes, which I'll tell you how. Okay, next one. Now, what if you have questions to ask? Same thing. There's no need to come into live class, honestly. If I were you, I wouldn't come into this live class. It's just like what I explained. I would just, watch the recording, study at my own pace. Okay, I will talk about own pace later on. Study on my own pace and my own sweet time when I think I can fully concentrate. Because at this moment, maybe you slept at 3 o'clock yesterday. I know as a student, you can do that. Then you wake up like blur blur like that, and then you wanted to follow the class and then you cannot concentrate. What's the point? You're just wasting that 3 hours. Why not use this morning, go and do some gym exercise or do your yoga, and then you are free. Okay, you can fully concentrate at night. Then only you watch back the recording. Okay, that's my suggestion to you. It doesn't matter. Even if there's no student in the live classes, I'll teach as usual. That's actually the best suggestion for you. Watch the recording on your own sweet time instead of coming to live classes. If you think that, I wanted to be disciplined, then no problem. But if you think that this is the time because I have family commitment, I have work commitment, I can only fully concentrate at night at 7 or 9 p.m., quiet time, nobody disturb me, I can watch back recording, then do that. Because you know that the recording will be uploaded on the same day. Once we finish, I think you'll upload it by before 1 p.m. Okay, it will be on the list already. Okay, before 1 o'clock, it will be on the list. Now, that's another question. What if you have questions to ask me? When you watch at 9 o'clock, you don't understand about this. What to do? Then, send me a text. All of you got my WhatsApp. Okay, send me a text. Leave your question. Try to be specific with your question. All right, this and that, I don't understand about this one or this one. Why is it like this? Why is it like this? How do we refer to this? How do we refer to that? Now, from my experience with students, normally for full-time student, you don't have any questions up until May. Your questions will start to come to me in May or June. And I find that it is much easier to teach full-time students because you're like a white piece of paper. So should I use this word? Groom? It's groom. I don't know whether it's a correct word. So I groom you or I teach you from the basic up until exam. Now, I also have another course, which is a revision course that starts in mid-February up until we finish exam until we finish our exam, until end of June, then exam finish. But the revision class would not join with this full class. They are separated. The reason because both of these classes, your pace and your understanding on the subject are very different. And I do get a lot of questions from revision students because the revision student they failed in their previous attempt and then now they wanted to start revise again. So their understanding is here and there and disjointed. So it takes time and effort for me to join them up together to build that big picture for them. Okay, so I wanted to tell you, you don't have to come to live classes. If you have questions, you can always ask me, and I'll definitely reply you within 24 hours. If I don't reply you straight away, don't worry. I will definitely reply you. It's just maybe I'm busy with other work. I will definitely reply you within a day's time. Just send me a question. And I always tell my student, regardless of what time is it, if it's you study up until midnight, 2 o'clock, you have question, send it now. Don't leave it until morning only send it because when you wake up in the morning, you'll forget about what you want to ask. Just send it to me and then when I'm free, I'll wake up in the morning, whatever, I'll look at it and then I'll answer your question. And normally I'll answer based on voice clip, okay? Most of the time based on voice clip. Right, next one. Now, your exam applications. I haven't really... So, you fill in the application form. I roughly screen through all your requirements and I know all of you can sit for the CLP exam. But there's also a few things which I haven't asked in particular detail because some of you, you are a UOL student, some maybe you are a UKT students, okay? Depending on which university from the England, UK that you graduated, some may be from London, some may be from Northumbria. Let's talk about UOL first. 3+0 or 2+1, whatever it is. If you graduated 3+0 from UOL, okay, I find that dealing with UOL is a pain in the ass. Okay, sorry with my language, but honestly, their transcript department is the worst I've ever seen. Other uni, no problem, okay? Dealing with UOL transcript department is like talking to someone that doesn't reply you at all. They will not tell you what they have done. You send email, they will not reply you. There's no phone to call. All you have to do is just to wait. That's the trouble of dealing with them. Now, even if you enroll in any college any college out there, when it comes to exam application, they will only guide you. If there is any problem, you will still have to handle it yourself, because university like UOL or Northumbria, they don't allow any representative to call on the behalf of the students. They need the students to do that on their own. But we will not think so far. I have few students have this problem in the last batch, but I guided them all the way, tell them what to do, this and that. So we managed to do it. But I don't want this exam application to be like a burden. It's like disturbing your momentum, rhythm of revising for the course. So, we will start our exam application on the first week of December. I will remind you what to do, okay, and I will tell you, guide your step by step what you need to do. So don't worry about it. You have to get all your certificate ready. And you need to scan it in a very clear version. LPQB is very, very particular on this sort of thing. A little bit dark here and there, cannot. Not clear here and there, cannot. So my suggestion is, go to professional scanner, those stationery shop. Use the big machine to scan. Don't use our phone. Don't use our personal scanner at home. No. It may be a bit tedious, but one time. Because I can tell you, if you use your phone, do this and that, then you send over, then they will return back and say, ini tak lepas kerana tak jelas lepas tu. Then you have to do this again. It drags. I wanted it to be, one-off thing. So go to a professional place, scan it, things like that. Now, your certificate have to be certified by certain people. And I'll give you options. If you have someone to certify for you, which not everyone can do, okay, then you can do it on your own. But if you say that you don't have, you send it to me, okay, at the time I'll let you know. I will get it all certified for free for all of you. Email it back to you, and then you will submit. Your exam application, they will start allow exam application. The LPQB will release the statement most likely on the 1st of January that say you can start your application now. But we will start a little bit early by the first week of December, because we will need to apply a transcript from the UK university. If you graduated from the UK, we need them to directly send that transcript to the LPQB. They cannot send to you, you send to LPQB. No. They need to directly email from UOL to LPQB. Few years ago, pre-COVID, LPQB only accept hard copy of that transcript. Imagine London. They took how many weeks to send that hard copy? What if you get lost in between? Because of COVID, they started to allow e-version. So your e-version is they email from UOL directly to LPQB. It cannot come through you. So that's the problem with University in London. You apply, you need to pay, I think if I'm not wrong, £25. Okay? £25 to apply for that thing for University of London. Then no reply. You don't know. All you have to do is wait. You don't know when they send. You don't know if they sent. The only time that you know that they haven't got it is LPQB will call you and say they haven't get your cert. And then you have to chase it with the UOL. And the problem with chasing with UOL is that no one pick up the call, no one reply email. Honestly, it's so big university, but that is the worst department I've ever seen. But for other universities like Liverpool, John Moores, Northumbria, no issue. Very good, easy to handle. It's just that UOL we need to have a little bit. That's why we wanted to start early. Okay, we wanted to start a little bit early. If you are from other uni, things like that, then no issue. Okay, so then after that, you need to pay, if I'm not wrong, LPQB 200 ringgit on the spot when you submit application, so that they will screen through all your application to make sure you can sit for the exam. So I look at all your application. That's why in the application form, I wanted you to list down your results so I know that you can actually sit for the exam itself. The exam application fee, if you are a first timer, I think it's about 6,000 something like that. I think it's 6,000. I think it's 2,000 plus 1,000, 4,000 plus 1,800. I forgot already. Around 6,000. You only pay that around April or May time. They will submit, then by March, April, if you don't hear anything, means good news. If you don't get any call, if you don't get any reply from LPQB, means good news. Means, I wouldn't say good news, means no issue with your thing. So you can sit for the exam. Then they will send you an email in April, ask you to make the application for the sit the exam. So that's why we wanted to get it done one shot. I don't want you to ding dong too much. It will be too time consuming and wasted a lot of your energy. So we wanted the cert to be as clean and clear as possible. That's why use a professional scanner. Don't use your own phone. Okay? We have a lot of issues that use their own phone and not clear this and that. So I will guide you. I will tell you. I'll remind all of you. Don't worry. You just focus on your study. When we get around December time, I'll let you know what to do with your exam application. If you look at your Google Drive file as well, okay, your Google Drive, which is here. Wait a minute. You see that in miscellaneous here? Exam application summary. So this is all the exam for UOL transcript form. If it's a different university, you have the different form, but the UOL is the main one. Okay, transcript fee slip, sample, transcript, application summary that I made for all of you how to do. But don't worry, I will explain as the time goes by. You don't have to go and focus on this right now. This is the guideline from LPQB, what you're going to do, right? So all these things is in here. Okay, all these things is in here. All right. Right. Let's now go a little bit deeper with the course itself. In a CLP subject, in CLP course, which you are taking right now, there are 5 subjects. You have, number 1, civil procedure. You have professional practice. You have general paper, criminal procedure, and evidence. These are the 5 subjects. Now, if you look at the timetable I give you, okay, which is the Excel sheet, let me share it to you. This one. We start off with 3 subjects first. Civil procedure, professional practice, general paper. We will finish off general paper, then after that we will slowly add on 2 more, which is criminal and evidence. Again, by February, we'll finish all the lectures. Now, we do not need so many lectures, but we need more practice on it. If you see down there, there's a tutorial, correct? And there's a timeline here. This is a timeline of September up until July. The lectures, how we plan to do, what I want you to do, which now I explain to you. If you look at civil procedure, the lectures is only for 3 months. Honestly, you do not need so many lectures. Okay? Don't worry, I'll keep it simple, concise, easy for you to know what you need to know. But we need more analysis, critical thinking, application. That is why we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 months for us to do a lot of past question and application. For each subject, for a full course, I'm estimating same like last batch. We'll be doing 16 past year question for each subject. 16 past year question for each subject. Meaning we'll be doing 80 past year question in total. Okay, 80 past year question in total. And the more we do, the more you'll be well versed in the structure, how to do it. And we will start early. We start once we finish our lectures. For professional practice, now, I told you there are 5 subjects. The first subject is civil procedure. Tomorrow, we'll start with civil procedure. Then I'll go deeper into each chapter itself. How many chapters are there? How are we going to look at it? And then what's our approach for civil procedure? What books do you need? And then that's the first session. I think the 1 hour we'll do that 50 minutes. Then we take a break. Then after that, we'll start with the lectures, limitation. Then we start with the courts. So tomorrow, maybe it will take about 2 hours plus, 2.5 hours, something like that. That's the reason why, I highly suggest you don't have to come to live classes. You can join. You can watch back any time of the day. when you're free, you can put it in 1.2, 1.5 faster so that, to me, what matters most is time and productivity. There is no point sitting there for 3 hours when you cannot concentrate. Rather, I can sit there 1 hour, I can fully concentrate. That is much better. Okay? When we do anything, how you're gonna study from now on, always think about this thing. How can I increase my productivity? How can I maximize my time? Right? Now, in professional practice, there are 4 subjects in there: ethics, land, bankruptcy, and probate. We will start with ethics first, then we have land, then we have bankruptcy, then our probate. We will do a full introduction about this, what's our approach, how we're going to do with it on Wednesday. So the first session, I'll talk more about this. What we're going to do about this, okay? Why is it have 4? Is it difficult? What's our strategy, okay? So by end of this week, you have a clear cut, these 3 main subjects, what is our strategy, how we're going to do, how we're going to roll. Then we have the third subject, which is your contract and thought. Third subject is general paper. General paper consists of 2 subjects, contract and thought. By end of this month, we have done all the lectures for contract. Now, general paper is the least amount of things that you need to study out of that 5 subject. So there is not much of things, but rather it is the writing application and time management in exam that matters. General paper is always the first subject that you have to be examined on your exam. And students normally don't do well because of time management. I'll talk more about that on Thursday. Okay, on Thursday we have the introduction, we talk more about that. Same thing, we have thoughts. Then after that, we have finished 1 subject already by next end of October. Then in November, we will start criminal procedure and evidence. And we will have a break of end of the week, year, Christmas, and end of the year holiday. Then we have a break during Chinese New Year, and then we have break on public holidays, things like that. Now, then after that, we have our past year question analysis started. Now, I think one of the students texted me and said, Dennis, you written wrongly on your timetable because next week, 16 is Monday. If you look at 16 is Monday. I think the reason why it was written wrongly because 16 and 17 are public holidays, correct? Hari Malaysia, and then I think there's also another public holiday on 6th. So you have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Now, I think I wouldn't change it. I will still have class on 16 morning and I will still have class on 17. So I'll make some amendment here later on. So we have 16, 17, 18, 19, Monday to Thursday. Okay? But it doesn't matter. Just like what I say, if you wanted to go for holiday, please go and enjoy. Okay? If you're going to have some, outing with your friends, day out, whatever holiday, please. There are much more things that being a student. Please enjoy your life being a student. If you want to go party, go party. If you want to go, holiday, just go holiday. All right? Like what I said, you can always watch back the recording at your own pace. And then you have questions, you can always text me. So this is your timeline. All right? On your lectures, you have, technically speaking, 5 subjects. But 2 of the subjects, like PP, professional practice, you have 4 inside. So, and in general paper, you have 2 inside. So you have to, in total, you have 9 subjects. Okay? Total, you have 9 subjects. Okay, don't be, scared, by all these sort of things. It doesn't matter. We'll take it step by step. All right? Now, your study timeline is this one. We start off from September now with lectures. And once a while, we have some question week. Question week is sort of like a mini tutorial where we will look at some of the past year questions so that you can have a feel what type of questions you'll be getting. For tomorrow, let's say when we start on our serial procedure, for the first session, I will introduce you with the serial procedure. We will straight away have a look at the type of questions that you will get in exam. Now you're going for an exam, right? So we need to look at, okay, this is the kind of questions you'll be getting. This is the style. And we tailor our approach and work backwards and see how can we, train ourselves so that we know how to answer this kind of question. Rather than leave it until April and May, only you take out your past question. That is not it. Okay? CLP is very different from LLB. LLB, you can memorize whatever answer, sample answer, you write it out, you'll pass. But in CLP, you can't. You cannot. CLP is not about memorizing. It's about applying critical analysis, you must get all your facts right. So this is now what I'm going to explain to you. Your study timeline. Okay, I would say my timetable for you is this. From September up until February, we will have lectures and question week. From February up until June, we will have past question analysis. From September up until February, your job, okay, is to watch all those recordings, understand everything about the subject. All right. If I said, read these 2 paragraphs, read this. From September up until February, your job is to understand all the subject, watch all the recordings, and make your own notes. I would give you notes in class, and I'll tell you how to make it. You can make it based on the notes I give you, or you can even just use the notes I give you and add on to it, which I'll explain later on here. From February to June, then I want you to be fully focused on doing, writing, practicing past year question. There are no more lectures from February to June. And based on my experience with dealing with students, when we finish the class in February, normally students won't be able to finish all the recordings because they may be a bit late here and there. So the cut-off time for you to finish watching all the recordings and doing all the notes is by end of March. By end of March, that is the latest. You cannot go beyond end of March. By end of March, you must finish all the recordings that you need to watch. You must finish understanding them. You must finish making all the notes that you need to make. Because starting from April, you need to start writing. You will find that reading is one thing, writing the answer is another thing. And I can tell you, this is what my students always have. In April, when they start doing past year question, they will always text me one thing. That is, I find it very difficult. I find it very daunting. I don't know how to answer. I don't know how to write it out. And I always tell them one thing. It doesn't matter. It is normal. Because you are not accustomed, you are not well versed in it yet. Because you are not get used to it yet. I tell them, keep writing. If you need to refer to your notes, refer. By May, they'll come back to me and say, Dennis, I think I can write a bit much better now. They may take about 2 hours to write one question. It doesn't matter. I just tell them, doesn't matter. By June, then they are much well versed. Then they'll say, Dennis, I have an idea what to do, what to write. So stick with the plan as we go along. Your exam in July is 3 hours for each paper, which I'll explain more when we go through each subject tomorrow. So I'll just touch on a little bit here. In each paper, let's say for civil, civil procedure, you have to do 4 questions. One question is 25 marks. 4 questions, 100 marks. One question, you have 45 minutes only to write. If it's general paper, then it's slightly different. There are only 2 questions. We'll talk more about it on Thursday. So when they start practicing the past year question in April, they may take, I can tell you right now, you will take the whole afternoon just to write one question, not one paper, one question. By right in exam, you only got 45 minutes to do it. You will take one whole afternoon just to write. And you come back to me for sure And I say, Dennis, I find it very difficult. Is it normal? Okay, you remember what I said now? Then when we come to April, you can watch back the recording and you see that you have the same issue. It's normal. So that is why I want you to start early. For those that are resitting, okay, the exam, the reason why you didn't do well is because you left it way too late to do it. My suggestion is this. There is no need to spend so much time to memorize this and memorize that. No need. I will tell you in particular, this one memorize, this one no need, this one need, whatever. Follow what I said. Okay? There is no need to wait until you fully well versed in it, only you start writing. It doesn't work like that in CLP. Write first. Regardless you know or don't know, practice first. The more you write, the more you practice, the more you get well versed. Because in exam, it is not how much you know in here. It's about how well you can write in that 45 minutes for one question. So that's why we do a lot of passing questions. 16 for each subject so that I want you to be well versed. Then as we progress, okay, other issue, then you come back to me and then I'll give you some other advice. This is what the advice I'll tell you now. So your cut-off point, if possible, follow along the timetable I've given you. Now, of course, I know sometimes you may not be able to, get so accurate, but the latest, the must cut-off point for you to finish all the recording and doing all the notes is by end of March. You must, no excuse, start doing past year question by April. As we progress along, maybe you are a little bit slow or weak in certain subject. Please, if you do have this sort of issue, raise it up with me immediately. Now, same thing like I keep telling all my students, okay, all this while, all right. I'm not worried about the hard skill. There are hard skills and soft skills. Hard skill is the legal knowledge, the law knowledge. Now, of course, a lot of you will have heard about, CLP is hard, okay. Even heard from certain of my students that told me that maybe they studied in certain colleges, certain lecturers advise them to take a gap year after finishing, which I don't really recommend you to do so. Do it while, the knowledge is still fresh. Just like what the English proverb, strike while the iron is hot. Okay, do it while it's still there. Once you finish, sit for the exam. Now, before we start embarking on this course tomorrow, I must make sure me and you, all of us, are on the same track. Our aim and purpose must be the same. You must have seen my webpage, which I actually only launched a few months ago, which is this one. Right? CLPexam.com. We pass in one attempt. That's our purpose. All right? We must pass in one attempt. Now, of course, they were frightened by it's hard. You only got 4 attempts. Forget about all this thing. Focus on just next July, one time, pass all. 5 subjects. We are not aiming for conditional pass. We are not aiming for receipt. We are just aiming for 5 subjects, one time pass all. All right? So the mental strength must be very, strong. This batch, I want to do something different from all of you. Now, as we progress, you find that when I teach in class, I rarely use study manual. Again, study manual is just whenever we need it. But of course, I'll refer to statute because you need to use statute during exam. I'll talk more individually about each subject later on tomorrow. And of course, I'll give you certain notes. And you'll find that I refer to a lot of web pages, articles online because it's much interesting and easier to read. And I'll put all those links in the YouTube, down there in YouTube, you have the section where you can write a lot of things, okay? At minute 37 I talk about this. At minute 54, I talk about this. This is the web link. So I like to use YouTube because I find it rather better than Zoom. This is one of the reasons, okay? Because Zoom, when you heard about Zoom, automatically you tense up and feel like, okay, oh my God, you have something to study. It's like studying. But when you say watching YouTube, it's like, much relaxed. And it's easier for me to organize all these sort of things in there. Okay, that's the reason why I use YouTube. And it's much clearer, and you can fast forward anytime you like, and you can put all those things, everything in there. And I also be using a lot of social media. Now, a lot of you will know me from my social media, 小红书, okay? Literate book. And I also have a podcast, okay, which you can find in Spotify. I don't know any one of you used it before, but I know a lot of students has been using it from, whether they're not my student, but it's free for all. And please make full use of the podcast, okay? All you have to do is go to Spotify, okay, and search for CLP Classroom. And you see my podcast, it's very useful. And I find that when it gets up to exam time, the download rate for that podcast is so much higher because I record those chapters in small 3, 4, 5 minutes video voice clip so that you can listen to them if you're driving to somewhere, you're driving to work, you're traveling to work on the MRT, whatever. That is the purpose, to keep things simple and easy for you to understand. Now, make full use of the podcast. I haven't been posting for some time because I've been a little bit busy, so I'll be starting posting. I'll be also starting a TikTok account by this week or next week. Now, I wanted to do something different for all of you this year. Like what I said, you don't have to come into live class. You can always watch back the recording. Second thing, if you have any question, you can always text and ask me. Third thing, I'm not worried about the hard skill, which is the legal knowledge. Because regardless of how bulky a subject it is or how difficult a subject it is, there are ways to break it down. There are ways to study it. But from my experience dealing with students, I find that students lack quite a lot in soft skills, like time management, like your analytical problem skills, like your communication skills, how to simplify matters. My experience dealing with students, regardless of how bulky, regardless of how big the chapter is, I can simplify it in a very simple way to let you know. But when I convey that message from my side to you, no matter how, they would tend to complicate it. Always remember, we want to simplify matters and not complicate matters. Don't overcomplicate matters. But when the knowledge from my side up until there, then they start to complicate the matters. And as we progress up until the exam, they will start to have a lot of mental breakdown, this and that. So I wanted to teach all of you a lot more on soft skill part. Your emotional management, your mental preparation, your how to set a goal, how to make your own notes, which I'll talk a little bit more about how to make your own notes here. Okay? So this thing, I will deal with you on an individual basis. So I'll be texting and following up with you on a very constant basis. I'll probably say every once a week or twice, once a week or once every 2 weeks to see how you're doing. That's my approach because I want it to be more hands-on so that you feel like even though in the class I conducted is one-to-many, after the class is always on a one-to-one basis with you. So I'm not worried about the hard skill, but I wanted to teach more of you on the soft skill part. You see, when you graduate, you're working, you go and attend any interview, the employer is looking for your soft skill, not your hard skill. You can have an LLB degree, you can have a first class, second class, whatever. But when you have the interview and talking with them, it's much more on how you present yourself, what can you, bring values to the company. So when you have a law degree, okay, I know when you have a law degree, you are a lawyer. But I wanted you all to be a little bit more on that. When you have a law degree, you present yourself as if you are well trained. You are good in sort of presentation skills. You are good in breaking down bulky, difficult problems into simple things that you can understand. Easy to convey message to laymen. I have a lot of lawyer friends and I deal with a lot of lawyers previously. And I find that lawyers, they are very good in, litigation in court. But when it comes to common man-to-man, normal people communication, I find that they're always not that well versed. They are good on the court itself, but when it comes to those sort of communication between people, they are not that well versed. You have to know, In future, when you are a lawyer, you meet clients, they are not lawyers, You cannot be telling them all the bombastic legal term. They wouldn't be able to understand. You must be able to explain in a term that layman will know what is it about. Give some sort of simple explanation. So this year, and also more of my future students, I wanted to train all of you on this side. And this one, I'll train all of you on a one-to-one basis. So I'll be speaking to you all how your problem analytical, because if you have questions, please don't be shy to ask me. From your questions, when you ask me, and I'll know where somehow you got stuck at. And then I know how to, clear that blockage for you. And from there on, I can teach you more on, your presentation, how you look at things differently, how your analysis skill, how your time management skill. Let me tell you a little bit of story of some of my students. I have students as well, last batch, which I always follow up with them, okay? But up until a week or 2 weeks before exam, then they will tell me that they couldn't take it anymore. They wanted to, sort of like escape, avoid taking the exam. They only done this and that. By right, we should have done 80 past the question. Maybe she only done 2 or 3, 5 or 10, which is not enough to the level that is needed to pass your exam. Which, even though every once or twice a week or every 2 weeks I follow up with them, how you doing? Do you have any issues? They always come back to me, Dennis, I'm fine, I'm good, no issues. But 1 or 2 weeks before the exam, they'll start to tell me all these things. So never leave it until the last minute and tell me, Dennis, I have this issue. If there is an issue whereby you cannot concentrate, if there's an issue whereby you find that it is so daunting they cannot understand, raise it up immediately. Don't leave it until the last minute only to tell me. Because if you leave it until the last minute and tell me, there's nothing much I can do because of time. But if you raise it up, then I can, okay, let's try this. Let's do that. Let's do this and let's do that. Okay? If you have any issue, regardless of whether is it study or not study, you find that I talk a lot about non-study matters with you, like your emotional management, your time management. Don't be shy. Because to me, what affects a student most is not about the technical part. The technical legal part is not hard, but it is the mental part. They will have a breakdown. When it comes to exam, they will either have insomnia, gastric pain, eczema, started to cry, all these sort of things. So I wanted to make sure you all are strong enough to deal not just with your exam, but whatever that happens in coming in your life later on. So I have students that come to me and text me, and Dennis, I cannot concentrate at all. There's this voice in my head keep telling me that I will fail. What if I fail again? And I deal a lot of this, because to me, if we don't deal with these sort of voices in your heads and these sort of things, it will consume a lot of your energy. You'll be sitting there 3 hours thinking that you sit there 3 hours reading, but technically speaking, your concentration level is maybe only 20%. Like I said, it's much better to have 1 hour sitting there 100% concentration rather than 3 hours with 10% concentration. Okay? So these sort of issues, please raise it up. And I will also be proactive in approaching you to make sure that I want to train. That is what my aim, my goal for this year with this batch of students. I wanted to train more of you on this sort of soft skill. Time management, productivity, your presentation skill, how you present yourself, As we progress, June onwards, our role is going to change. From September February. From September up until February, of course, you're a lecturer. I'm like a lecturer, tutor, you're a student. From February up until June, our role has to change. From February onwards, me and you will not be a lecturer and student anymore. We are a study buddy. You are my study buddy, I'm your study buddy. So you practice with me and I practice with you. I guide you and, along the way. So I can show you how to do it. Why is it like this? How to do it? Why to do it? But I need you to go and do it. Okay? So time management is very important. I know even if I talk about time management now, it's a bit too early. As we progress along, I'm sure you have certain problems, then I'll deal with it. All right? So the approach is this. Your output must be more than your input. Output means writing. What else? Making notes. What else? Speaking. If you want to do a study group with anyone you like, then you speak to them as if you're teaching them. To me, right, the best way to learn is to teach. Okay? You teach to a student as if that, you explain to him this chapter or her this chapter. She explained to you this chapter, or, so you all take turn to explain to each other things like that. That is the best way. You can also practice that with me, which I highly suggested with all my students, and some of them did that with me for the last exam. So I said, practice with me. Explain to me as if like I'm a student now, you're a teacher, because that's the best way for you to learn. Your output must be more than input. What is input? Input means you sit there and listen to lectures, me talking. Because it cannot be a one-way approach like this. In LLB, it may work. You may memorize the whole sample answer right out. In CLP, it doesn't work at all. You can memorize the whole sample answer, whatever written by me or someone else, you will still fail. It is not about the length, it's about the analysis and, applying the issue, because it's a very technical hands-on paper. Okay, so your output must be more than your input. That is why if you look at the timetable, we only have lectures from September until February. We don't have many lectures. You do not need so many lectures. You need more hands-on approach and doing. So stick with the plan. Your cut-off point is by end of March. You must finish all your lectures and making all your notes. Then, second, you make notes. From September up until February, make the notes. I'll give you extra notes. You can make the notes based on the notes I give you. Okay, I'll tell you which particular case or chapter that you need to read, certain paragraph of the case you need to read, and read it. Okay, read it. They are important. I'll tell you. You do not need to know like 1,000 cases. No, I'll tell you what landmark cases. I'll be very precise, concise, specific, particular, whatever you name it. This is the case you need to know. This paragraph, this. And some of the case I actually make it into a short podcast. Like we have a lot of cases of Najib Razak. And some of them are very important and make it into a short podcast in the Spotify. So listen to it any time of the day you like. When you're in toilet, when you're driving somewhere else, just listen. It's just 4 or 5 minutes rather than having like 40 minutes, short and concise. Make full use of it, okay? Like what I said, I'll be starting also a TikTok account this week. The TikTok account, I will share more on this sort of soft skill, your productivity, time management, how to make notes, things like that. Now, I wanted to show to you all some of the example notes students make. You see this kind of notes? Wait a minute. Let me share the full screen. See that? All right. This is a typical notes that you make, right? All right. Now, this is what we call as a linear notes. Linear notes means what? Linear notes means like this. You write it down, all right? Number one, okay, number one, okay, number two, number three. So you need to go through down here, then down there, then down here. This is what we call as a linear notes. There's a problem with linear notes is, if it's a little bit, it doesn't matter. But if it's a lot, then you find it very hard. Because your brain will be structured in a way. If today I ask you, okay, you started doing notes from here, right? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. If today now I ask you things here, you need to think from here first. Think here, then go through here. Only then you can reach here. If I ask you a question which is here and here and here and here, you're gone. Because your brain is wired in a way that is linear. One, it is going into something that is non-linear. You cannot link them up together. In CLP, we have 5 subjects. Civil, professional, general, criminal, evidence. Criminal evidence are always linkable. You find them, I do it together is because they are very related to each other. Civil, what is civil? Civil matters. Professional practice involve bankruptcy, land, probate. These are all civil matters. General paper, contract and tort. These are all civil matters. So you find that general paper, land, bankruptcy, we use certain knowledge that we learn from civil. You must be able to link all the subjects up. As we progress along, like tomorrow's civil procedure, I'll tell you what's the approach, how I build that big picture for you. You must have the big picture itself. So, my suggestion, of course, okay, you make notes from September and February, and I'll give you. Tomorrow, when we start the class, you see some of the certain notes. My suggestion is you make notes like this. I should have make it into a PDF because I make this, actually I wanted to shoot a video for TikTok or Xiaohongshu, but I haven't got the time to do it yet. So I share it for you here. Now you see that your notes, it must be concise, one place, not here and there, here and there. I know some of you are receipt, you have many books. To me, you do not need so many books. One book is good enough. There's no need to refer here and there, here and there. Even you have 10 books, right? You will not have time to refer to all of them. One place, easy, where you can refer to. With audio, podcasts here, easy to remember, concise, good enough. Your notes, my suggestion is you make it like this. Here is here is the main notes. Here, you use keywords or term, and here, that is a summary. So every chapter, maybe you can use front and back, whatever you like this. Now, for your main notes, what are you going to do? Instead of making this area, main notes here, instead of using a linear notes like this, you see this is a linear notes, my suggestion is to make it into a mind map itself, like this. The reason, this is what we call as a non-linear note-taking. If it's a non-linear note-taking, your brain is not wired or trained in a way that it must follow number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Because if you have your notes in there and you learn in a way of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when I ask you a thing number 7, you start to think from number 1, number 2, number 3, number 7 like this. But if I start to ask you number 2 plus number 6, you're gone. But if it's in a non-linear note-taking format, everything is in there, floating around, waiting to extract it. So this is my aim and goal with all of you this year. I'm not worried about the hard skill, the law knowledge, not worried. Okay? It's always there. But I wanted to train all of you in these sort of other matters. Note-taking, okay, productivity, your time management, your mental strength, your emotional management, your goal setting, how to deal with this sort of stress. I wanted you all to be well equipped with this sort of thing. When you graduate and go out there as a law graduate or lawyer, normally everyone will say, I'm a lawyer. But what does lawyer bring to the table? You tell them not because I have a first degree or second degree, second class or first class, law degree. I am well versed. I can present things that is complicated, summarize it into simple matter for you to understand. I can, break down problems, give you solutions, and that is what your employer is looking at. That is what I want to train because I find that students are lacking in these sort of things. What more, now with all the online classes, I don't see you face to face. So a lot of them, when it comes to mingling with other people, you're not that comfortable. That's something that we couldn't help because that is how now everything is got done online. So I wanted to teach you all more than just law itself. So that you all as my students, I want you to learn more from me so that I can teach you all more things. Okay? So that's my goal. So I'll deal with this individually with all of you because everyone is different. Some of you have families, some of you are working. So you see how it works out, okay, with you. So the next one. Past year question. So for each subject, we'll be doing 16 past year questions. That is roughly about 8 years. Roughly about 8 years. We will start the past year question from 2016, if I'm not wrong, up until 2024. So if you look at the Google Drive, I have all the past year questions there apart from 2024 because we have to wait for the LPQB to upload the paper on the website itself. The LPQB always suggests that you do at least 5 years of past year question, but to me, the more you do, the more is better. Especially for subject like criminal. Criminal, you need to do a lot. Okay? You'll find that no matter how much you read the subject, it's of no use. It only matters when you start to write. And when I say do past year question, you need to write answer in full, not point form. Not just looking, oh, I know. No. I know is in here, but be able to write it out is a totally different thing. So as we progress along, as we come to February, then we'll talk more about how we're going to do it, what's our approach on this thing. Next one, your approach is practice with me. So my approach is very different from other lecturers. Other lecturers, maybe you need to ask them questions during live classes. That is why I say you don't have to come into live class. Study at your own pace, but that own pace must be follow along, just like what I say, the timeline I give you. Your cut-off point must be end of March. Now, you find that I'll be speaking to you a lot of very common once every 2 weeks to make sure that you stay in the frame. You stick to the plan, because I don't want any one of you by February telling me, Dennis, I only completed 2 months of recordings. Then you have to catch everything up. No. Start now. You don't wait until next year only start. That is why we don't have a lot of class. We only have Monday to Thursday morning. Free time, go and do gym, go and do yoga, go and mingle, go and learn new things, go and work. Okay? And look at the notes, practice with me, then talk to me, then I can teach you all other things like soft skills, things like that. So we start now. Every week you do a little bit. Okay, so imagine Monday to Thursday, we only got 3 hours, total 12-hour lectures. Some of the class, we don't even need until 3 hours, maybe 2 hours we finish. You speed up the lecture recording up until 1.2 or 1.5. Maybe Saturday morning, Sunday morning, you can finish off them. Make the notes that you need, understand. Okay, there is no need to sit there and say must memorize. No needs. Okay, trust me, I'll tell you in which particular you need to memorize, no need to memorize, very specific. Alright, so if there's any question, then you practice with me. So comes February onwards, our approach is going to be different. We are like a study buddy. I'm your study buddy, I'm your best friend. You talk to me more than you talk to your parents or your boyfriend or girlfriend. Alright, that's how we're going to do when it comes to February next year. Now, you heard a lot saying that CLP is hard, okay, bulky. Don't think about that, okay? Leave that bulky part to me, okay? Forget about the bulky part. You say bulky part, leave it to Dennis. I'll break down the bulky part and show it to you simple things. But don't ever complicate matters. That is what I find a lot of students. Even though I break it into very simple terms, when I convey it to them, they still complicate matters. And I find that they tend to complicate matters is why? Because you know why? They feel that if they don't write this amount of length, they don't do this, they lack sort of, what do you call that? They feel unsafe. In Chinese, we call 安全感. Okay? They must write in that amount of length so that they feel okay, that is enough to pass the exam. No, it doesn't work like that. LLB, you may, talk a little bit crap here and there. That's what I did with my LLB degree. I just crap around my essay and then I pass. But in CLP, cannot. You write particular specific answer to the question. You don't write unrelated stuff. You only write related things that is matters to the question itself. Okay? So, there is no need to, honestly, there are here and there things that we need to memorize a little bit. But not everything need to memorize. Rather, it's more about understand, apply, critical analysis, how it works. Alright, you must understand how the law works. So, practice with me. I want to train more you're on this sort of soft skill, your problem and analysis, breaking down, things like that. Alright? And last thing, your common problems. I have students, like what I said, 2 weeks before exam and come speak to me and say, Dennis, I only done 10 past year questions out of 80. Even though every week I've been texting them and say, how are you doing? They tell me they're fine, they're no problem. Only 2 weeks before the exam, they told me they only done 10. And they said they don't think they can sit for the exam. Please, I hope you take, learn from this sort of your seniors. Don't repeat what they have done. If you have issues, if you have problem with, you said they cannot finish on time, you cannot finish so many past year questions in a week, please raise it up with me. As we progress along, I'll keep reminding all of you. Please raise it up with me so that if there is a problem, we can sort it out straight away and not leave it until last minute. Like what I said, a lot of times, what was stopping students from progress, not just students, when you are working adults, it is not about how hard that thing is. No matter how hard a subject is, so no matter how hard a skill is, it can be learned. But a lot of things that is stopping them, that is, they break down, their mental strength is not strong enough, their ability to handle these sort of things. Okay, that's one of the goal and aim I make for myself. I wanted to train all of you on these sort of things from this year onwards, this batch of students. Okay, the other thing is your organization skills. Yes, it is bulky, but I told you, leave that bulky part to me. I'll break it down for you. But when I convey it to the students, they tend to overcomplicate matters. So their notes will be a lot, when you look at the notes, you still don't know what is it about. So your note must be simple, concise, easy. Now, maybe you have, by end of February, maybe you make notes for all your subject, maybe 50 pages. Then when you start doing past year question, you must, reduce your note, make it much more concise up until the day before your exam. For each subject, your notes will not be more than 3 pages. That is how you work. From 100 pages to 50, 50 to 10, 10 to 3. The more you write, the more it concise. Once you look at that word itself, you automatically know, okay, all the knowledge start to come. So that's why I suggest you all make like this. Your organization skills. All right? Your main notes, your keywords, your summary, and this one, use non-linear presentation. Now, of course, it's just a suggestion. It is not a compulsory requirement. Everyone has a different way of studying, isn't it? So find that way that fit you the best, but this is what I suggest. Next one is your over-focus on input. A lot of students will tell me that they haven't finished reading it. Should they start the past year question when it comes to April? They will tell me, okay, they will ask me, Dennis, I haven't finished reading. I made the notes already. I understand, but I haven't started memorizing. Should I memorize all of them first, only I start doing past year question? Or should I do past year question first? My suggestion, my answer is always start writing now. No matter how much you memorize, it is of no use when it comes to CLP. It is all about your application, practical, applying knowledge to it, writing. Be able to write it up. In exam, 45 minutes for one question is not to train how well you can store that knowledge in your brain. It's about how well you can write it up. Okay? You may be able to convey. They'll give you a very real life scenario. Alex, do this and that, here, this and that. Okay, what is your suggestion? What can you do? What is it, the section in the Evidence Act is relatable? Okay, how can we do? How can we solve this problem? So we need to be able to do that. So it's much more closer to real life scenario, because when you're in a lawyer, you see, let's say I'm your client and I come to you and I say, hey, I have a land and it was left over by my father, but he doesn't have a will, and but he told me orally that this thing is gonna be for me, but I forgot about it. And now a few years down, someone wanted to take that land and develop into a housing area. Can I get that land? So, assuming I'm your client, so then you need to, talk to, Dennis, okay, for your case, it's going to be like, you need to be able to break it down and speak to them. You won't be talking to them, okay, Dennis, okay, statute section 122 says this is this, okay, then based on this case, right, you wouldn't be speaking to them, right? Like, you must be able to flexible. So that is what I wanted to teach you and practice you, train you on this, so that once you graduated from me, you are well versed. You go into the work field, confident, be able to handle all these sort of things. All right. So less focus on input, more on output. Next one, your time management. Don't leave it until next year only start. In LLB, you can. In LLB, 3 months before your exam, you take out all your, sample answer, buy notes from other people's, things like that, and memorize, you can pass. In CLP, it doesn't work that way. Start now. What do you call it? Balance out the time. Every week, we have 4 recordings. Find some time at night, afternoon, 2 hours every night, weekday. If I were you, I wouldn't come into live class. I'm free at night, Monday to Thursday at night. I will spend 3 hours, fast forward the recording to 1.2 or 1.5, watch the recording, understand, make notes. Friday night, I go out play. I go out lah. You go out with a boyfriend, girlfriend, with your friends. Saturday, I like to hike, I go hiking. That is student, you shouldn't be just sitting there and reading. There are more than just study, okay? Go and explore other things, learn other things. That is what I wanted to teach all of you, more soft skills on that day. So don't ever leave it until next year and say, oh, I'll start in January. No, start now. This week, start. Every week, you set a little bit timetable, discipline, stay on it, focus, do it, okay? Focus is something that you need to train to be able to focus on one thing and stick to it. Always remember, what is our purpose? Our purpose is to pass in one go in July 2025. And I'll be reminding you all very often about it to make sure all of you are staying on that track and you wouldn't be losing motivation and, losing your focus. So that is why after class, I deal with all of you on a one-to-one basis to make sure all my students, okay, I make sure I know all of you are on track. You're not, losing focus. You're not getting left behind. You know what you're going to do so that we stay on track. We stick with our plan. Okay, start now. Don't leave it to next year, January. Don't leave it to say, oh, I have holiday. Okay, I'll start during that week. No. A lot of you are working full-time. And some of you have family commitments here and there. For those that are working, I always say this thing. 2 months before the exam, you must be on holiday. You must. So the exam is on July. Now you can start to plan. Tell your boss, May and June, you want to be off because you want to focus on your exam. Tell them now so you can plan it out. If you tell me, that is I can't take 2 months, my boss don't allow, then 1 month. At least you must 1 month be on holiday. You cannot be working up until your exam time. No way. At least 1 month, best 2 months. For those that are not working full time, then of course, okay, you have plenty of time, but don't, make full use of it. Make full use of it. Okay, your time management. So again, for those that you have family commitment here and there, find a time where you can really sit down, focus. Okay, like what I say, 1 hour, 100% focus is much better than 3 hours, 10%. Next one, lacking in practice. And I can tell you this, even though we do 80 past year question in class, 80 past year paper in class, not all students will be able to complete 80 because of time. They may only be able to complete 50, 60. The other 20, they couldn't even have time to watch the recordings. They maybe only can watch the recording and do point form. But right now, at this moment in September, if you ask me, my suggestion is, of course, will be able, for my side, definitely I can complete 80 in the class. But when it comes to you, my suggestion is to aim for 80 first. But when it comes to that, you have some sort of issue here and there, then I'll give you a different kind of advice. And I'll say, okay, try doing this or try doing that. Okay? But we shouldn't be using that as an excuse, Aim for 80 first. The more you do, the more is it. You must write in full, not in point form, not in dotted form, not in keywords. Full as if you are writing an essay. That is how you pass your CLP exam. And lastly, your mental breakdown. A lot of students, insomnia, eczema, gastric. I have students, a lot of all these sort of issues, breakdown. So I wanted to train from day one onwards to make sure you're well versed. If you look at your exam, now, then I talk a little bit more about the timetable. If you look at the timetable I give you, all right, this one. Now, you see that in lecture and question week, first, we only have 4 lectures per week. So we do not need so many lectures. We need more practice. You need some time to go away and listen to it, understand. And if you don't understand, you come back to me, practice with me, ask me question. That's how you learn. So maybe even after I finish the class, you cannot think of any questions. But at your own pace at time, when you read it, then the questions start to come out. Then you ask me. Okay? So We start off with 3 subjects. Then after that, we have November. Then we start off with criminal and evidence. Now, question week, like I said, is I will pick a few questions from the past year question or some of the short questions that I do myself for you, so that you can, have a feel what type of questions you'll be getting in the exam. Then we have tutorial. If you look at tutorial, first thing, in May, I think we have a mock. Here. April, we have a mock. Now, mock is time tested to make sure, to let you feel that how fast can you write in 15 minutes. Like civil procedure question, one question is 25 marks. 25 marks. In 25 marks, it may be divided into a few subsections. 1A, 10 marks, 1B, 15 marks. If it's 10 marks, the time that you got to answer that 10 marks question is only about 15 minutes to 16 minutes. If it's 15 marks, the time is about 20 minutes, something like that. Okay, 20, 22 minutes, something like that. So, we must practice our time management, be able to write it out 10 marks question in 15 marks. 10 marks question in 15 minutes. Time management is utmost important in general paper. In general paper, we have contract and thought. One question is for 50 marks. One question, we have 1 hour and 30 minutes. And always, the issue with students in general paper is they couldn't finish the paper. Your exam will be in July. Your first paper will be on Monday, general paper, Wednesday, civil procedure, Friday, criminal procedure, Monday, again, evidence, and then Wednesday, professional practice. Out of these 5 subjects, if you ever ask a senior, they always tell you evidence is the hardest. But I think if you look at 2010 beyond, like 2008, 2009 past year question, you'll find that evidence is a bit harder. But as you progress, like 2015, 16, 17, 18 onwards, I find that evidence paper is getting much easier. And the passing rate to me, and I don't find so many students fail evidence paper anymore. I find that a lot of them pass. The one that they fail the most is professional practice. So let me give you a little bit overview before we finish off the class for today. It's about 11, so we finish early. Civil procedure. They always say civil procedure is the bulkiest of all. Now, to me, it is not. Because they say it's the bulkiest because there's 30 plus, I think it's 36 chapter in there. Tomorrow, we have a civil procedure class, and I will explain and break it down to you how are we going to look at that 36 chapter. And this is not how we're going to look at it. We look at it a very completely different way. Second one, okay, like here I said, professional practice. Professional practice is the one that the student failed the most. There's a few reasons for that. First, ethics is a very dry and boring subject. On Wednesday, we'll talk more about it. Professional practice, there are 4 subjects in there. Ethics, land, bankruptcy, and probate. They find it a bit bulky. Again, we'll talk more about that on Wednesday. And professional practice is always the last paper you sit on the exam. So imagine that in 10 days' time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, you start off with general paper, you were so motivated by the 10th day, the last paper, they were totally burnt out. Every student will say that failed professional, they were habis, burnt out. They don't have any energy and they don't do well in professional practice paper. You find that the failing rate in professional practice is higher. Then you have general paper. General paper is also one of the main paper students don't do well because of time management. And because this is the first paper, they were nervous. So you'll find that a lot of students fail general paper and professional practice. It's the first, they got nervous, and it's the last, they got burnt out. Criminal, to me, is the bulkiest of all 5 subjects because there are much more cases that you need to read compared to civil. Everyone says civil. No, civil is not about case. To me, it's the criminal. But don't worry, okay? There is no need to know every single case. Okay, I will tell you which particular case you need to read. I'll break it down. Like what I said, leave that bulky part to me. All I want you to do right now is set your purpose and goal, pass in one attempt, understand, read notes, practice with me, train your soft skill, make sure your time management, productivity, your goal setting, okay, your mental management, mental, emotional, management, everything is well trained. And I'm sure you will pass. I'm sure of your pass. Don't worry about it. So criminal is the one that you need to read a little bit more. And criminal is the one whereby you need to do the most past year question. The more you do, the much better it is. And then evidence. Evidence to me, if you ask me out of that 5 subjects, which one is my favorite, I would say evidence. Because to me, there is nothing much to read in evidence. It's not a lot. It's very tiny. If you got your statute, you see how thin is it. There's nothing much. It's the same. Okay? We'll talk more about that when we start evidence in November. So, and I find that the questions are getting a little bit easier as we progress year on. Because CLP questions are set by ex-judges or certain lecturers or certain senior bar members. We do not know. They don't tell us. They will have their own selection process. They'll pick who they want to set the questions. Based on the question itself, sometimes you can know whether this is the same examiner compared to last or not. Because every examiner has one particular style of setting the question. Just like every lecturer has particular style of teaching, just like I have my style of teaching all of you. So from that question, you can know whether is it the same examiner that set it last year or not this year. So we talk more about that when we come to the past year question. If you look at this tutorial, okay, we have, let's say here, Wednesday, 12th of February, we have, wait a minute, let me see. Yeah, 12th of February, we have 2016. Then after that, next day, we have professional practice. Then we have general paper. Then we have criminal, evidence, civil. So we have one subject per day. Then we after finish 5 rounds, one round of 5 paper. Then we repeat again and again second round. The reason why I do this instead of having 2 weeks on civil procedure is this. In exam, in 10 days, you have to sit for 5 subjects. Imagine this. Monday, you go in, sit for general paper. 9 to 12, you finish, you come back, shower, have lunch, have a nap. We wake up, you need to immediately pick up civil procedure, which is to be tested on Wednesday, and start to have a big picture and overview it again. If I train you in a way whereby 2 weeks, one subject, you can be totally well versed in 2 weeks. You leave it. Then another 2 weeks on one subject. You find that the time when you put that subject away and you take out another subject, you find that it takes a lot of energy and time consuming for you to get used to the new subject again. So we must be able to train whereby you can switch between subject fast. Today you can do this subject, tomorrow you can do this, you can put down and pick up at the same time. If we do 2 weeks one subject, you find that, okay, you can be totally well immersed in that subject. You put it down already, then you need to gather a lot of energy, to reread back again. So that is not going to happen for you in the exam because Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday. So you only have 1 day of break in between. If you sit for the exam, pre-2018, they have 5 subjects in 5 days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Even worse. And pre-2018, some of the subjects you are not provided with the statute. Even worse, but now you are provided with certain statute, and I will talk more about that individually in each subject. Then we have a break in between. Okay, so I don't think they will change any format with your exam. No, it's still the same. So everything will be the same. So that's the reason why I set your timetable like this. So at least now for the class today, we lay down some ground rules of what you need to know, what you expect from me, what I expect from you, How are we going to approach all these sort of things? If you have problem assessing these recordings, things like that, please do let me know. So maybe sometimes some technical issue here and there. So tomorrow we will do civil procedure. Wednesday we do professional practice. Thursday we do contract. Then tomorrow it will be much more longer. I think it'll take about 2 hours plus 2 hours, 2.5 hours like this. We'll start off the first session with the introduction of civil, how we're going to read, how we're going to study. Then we'll go straight into the first chapter already. Okay, limitation and courts. So my suggestion is, if you are following live classes, okay, maybe 10 minutes before the live class start, just go into the Excel form, download the study materials, all right, save it in your laptop, and then that's what I'll be referring to. If you are studying in your own pace, watching the recordings at a time, then you can just always do it at your own sweet pace time. So that's why, seriously, I honestly, I think there is no need for you to come into live class, because if you think you want, then you can, but find the time that you think that you can fully concentrate. Find the time that you think that this is the best, no one disturb me. Because if you ask me, when I was a student, I like to study midnight, like 2 a.m. nobody disturb me, right? Quiet. Maybe that works for you. So 2 a.m. then you only watch back the recording. Okay, so that is what much better than wasting time and doing something that is not productive. Right, we stop here. Any questions before we leave the class for today? Now, as usual, if you have any questions, you can always text me your questions. So the link will be up in the form before 1 o'clock. Actually, once I hang up, the link is up. I just need to upload it to the YouTube private list. So you can always watch back the recording. But I think by end of this week, you will have good idea. Okay, you have a good idea how the whole thing works. And right now, you don't have to worry so much about other things. What I want you to focus on is stick with your plan. Make a timetable. Your timetable can follow along just like my timetable for you. If you have issue on how to sort out and set up your timetable, please talk to me. So that's what I want to train your more on, your soft skill approach. Okay, hard skill, I'm not worried. Right, any question before we finish off the class? Today is gonna be a short one with no break in between. Now, a usual class like tomorrow will start sharp 9:30. Okay. In the event if I'm not free or maybe I'm sick, last year there was these 2 classes where I totally lost my voice. I think sometime around November. I was like, I cannot speak at all. And I will also open up a WhatsApp group for all of you by end of this month. Okay, add all of you in so that I can, in the event that I cannot teach because I'm sick, then I can tell you all. If let's say I'm sick, I'm away, I find the best thing is I'll do a recorded version instead of a replacement class. Because a recorded version, I can fast settle it and upload it. You can always watch back recording. Like I said, I want to assure you, watch it in your own pace. Come to me anytime if you have problems. Don't leave it until last minute. Regardless of whether is it the law-related stuff or regardless of whether is it you find that you don't have time to handle the recording, you find it very daunting, you're stressful, please talk to me. Right? Please. You find that I say the same thing to all my students, whether it's a revision or full-time class. Because like what I said, whether someone make it or not, it's not so much about the knowledge. They can read so well, then they will still feeling that they still haven't read enough yet. Keep reading the same thing, reading. Then when they go into the exam hall, blank piece of paper, total blank. We need to train, okay? Practice, teach you all on this, how to handle these sort of things, so that knowledge will naturally come later on. Right. If there are no questions, let me see, because no questions. No questions? Right, no question, then we'll finish here. Okay, tomorrow we'll start 9:30. Okay, you can join live classes or you can watch back the recording. And from now on, and then I'll make a WhatsApp group by end of this month, and I will keep in touch individual, not just in group. Of course, important matters I will inform in group. Individually, you'll be receiving a lot of my text, checking out whether you are doing good or not, whether you're sticking with the plan, whether you have any issue. And okay, one more thing before we finish. Sometimes you may find that I'm a little bit strict with all of you. Okay, but please do excuse me. The purpose I'm strict with you is to make sure we stick to our plan, that you pass your CLP exam in one go. That is what I want to see. I want you to go on and do great things in your life. Okay? Pass your CLP exam. We talk more about that, what to do after your CLP exam. Maybe you have different passion you want to talk about. So now we just focus back on our studies. The other things we talk later on or individually, you come and talk to me. So I may be little bit strict with you, okay? But please do excuse me, because the reason why I want to be a little strict is now we don't see you face to face. These are all on live classes. So you sit there with your legs hanging up, doing whatever you like, watching a recording is up to you. But I find that sometimes students lack a little bit of discipline and motivation, that urge, in following, because there's no one picking them up or guiding them or telling them do this and do that. All right. So I want to make sure that you can call me annoying or what. I'm the voice that, keep telling you, hey, please make sure that you stick to our plan. Because if you want to do it, then you give it our best shot. Okay. And our best shot is to pass in one go in July. Right. If there are no questions, then we will finish here and I will see you tomorrow sharp at 9:30 or watch back the recording. So try it out for 1 week and then see how you assess those recordings, how you get used to it, and I'm sure you'll get well versed in it. Okay, then we'll finish the class and I'll see you tomorrow 9:30. All right, bye everyone, bye.